Today, we're exploring the final chapter in the life of, well, someone I find truly remarkable, a spiritual figure, Ramana Maharshi.
I love this.
Yeah, our source for this deep dive. A biography, it's titled Ramana Maharshi, Mahasamadhi, the final chapter.
Okay.
And it takes us through a period, marked by both, his declining health, but also just incredible grace, peace, and these really powerful teachings about life and death. I mean, imagine facing your own mortality with that kind of serenity,
It's amazing.
What can we learn from the way or realized being like Ramana Maharshi approaches death?
What's really fascinating how this biography frames his later years, you see. Ramana Maharshi was, once a picture of health, really vigor, but rheumatism, it really took its toll as he aged.
And that physical suffering, I mean, it really gets us into some interesting territory. There's this idea, that spiritual figures, especially ones believed to be enlightened, sometimes they take on the suffering of others, like it impacts their own physical well-being. What do you make of that?
Well, there's a belief in Hinduism that these individuals, they sort of shoulder a burden for humanity, almost like a spiritual sacrifice.
Yeah.
Think of the story of Shiva, drinking poison to save the world.
Yeah.
It's that level of selflessness.
Wow.
For the greater good. Sri Shankara, a revered Hindu philosopher, even wrote, "O Sambhu, Lord of life, thou bearest also the burden of thy devotees' temporal life." It's a powerful concept, isn't it?
It really is.
Interconnectedness of suffering.
Absolutely. And the biography really brings us to life with an anecdote about a devotee named Krishnamurti. He was struggling with intense pain in his finger, and as he sat with Ramana Maharshi, the master began rubbing the same finger on his own hand. And guess what? Krishnamurti's pain vanished completely.
It makes you wonder if that transfer of suffering, or at least its alleviation, can happen on such a tangible level.
Yeah. Now, as Ramana Maharshi's health worsened, people naturally became concerned about his lifespan. There were predictions and worries, swirling around, but he remained totally unfazed, almost as if he was detached from his physical body.
Right, and the biography really highlights this striking contrast between the reactions of the devotees and Ramana Maharshi herself.
Yeah.
While the devotees were gripped by, fear and sorrow, he remained calm and accepting. He even remarked, "They take this body for Bhagavan and attribute suffering to him. What a pity." What do you think he meant by that?
It sounds like a really profound statement, but I'm not sure I fully grasp the meaning. Was he saying that he didn't feel pain?
It's a bit more nuanced than that, you see.
Yeah.
Ramana Maharshi's whole philosophy was rooted in Advaita, which is a non-dualistic perspective.
Right.
Essentially, it means seeing beyond this illusion of separateness, recognizing the unity of all things. Now, within Advaita, suffering is considered an illusion that arises from our identification with the physical body.
So he wasn't denying the existence of physical pain, but pointing to a deeper truth about the nature of the self, that it's beyond suffering.
Exactly. There's another story in the biography where devotee S.S. Cohen asked Ramana Maharshi about pain, and the master explained that while a jnani, that is, a realized being, might experience pain in their body, their mind remains in a state of bliss. It's because they no longer identify with the body as their true self.
That's incredible. So true liberation isn't about avoiding pain, but about mentally transcending it, rising above those sensations.
Precisely. It's about recognizing that our true essence isn't limited to the physical body and its experiences. Now, as Ramana Maharshi's illness progressed, doctors recommended various treatments, even suggesting amputation. However, he consistently refused any medical intervention.
It almost feels counterintuitive, doesn't it?
Yeah.
To refuse treatment when it's available.
I think it speaks volumes about his view of the body as a temporary vessel. He wasn't clinging to it or trying to, prolong its existence beyond its natural course.
Yeah.
He even used powerful analogies to illustrate this point.
Tell me about those.
Okay.
Well,
I love a good analogy.
he compared the body to a banana leaf. You use it to serve food, and once the meal is over, you discard it, without a second thought. You don't try to preserve the banana leaf, do you?
That's such a vivid image.
Yeah.
And so true. We don't get attached to the things that we use temporarily.
Right. And he had another analogy. He compared the body to a bundle of firewood.
That a laborer carries. The laborer's, sole focus is reaching the destination, so they can finally put down that heavy load and find relief.
So for Ramana Maharshi, the body was simply something to be carried until the journey's end, then released without attachment.
Exactly. It's like he was saying that that true liberation, Nuksha, comes from shedding the body and all the limitations that come with it. To one of his attendants, he defined moksha as getting rid of non-existent misery and attaining the bliss which is always there.
Wow, that's beautiful. It's not about gaining something new, but recognizing the bliss that already exists, which our attachment to the body and its suffering obscures.
That's a really powerful takeaway, isn't it?
Yeah.
It makes you think about what you might be clinging to in your own life,
right,
that's causing unnecessary suffering. What would it feel like to let go?
So much to ponder already. And we're just getting started. The biography goes on to paint this this really poignant picture of Ramana Maharshi's final days. Even as he weakened, his focus remained on providing darshan, that is, spiritual presence and blessings to the devotees.
And it was during those final days that he uttered a truly remarkable statement. They say that I am dying, but I am not going away. Where could I go? I am here.
It's such a bold declaration. Like he's transcending the limitations of time and space, pointing to a reality beyond the physical body. But what did he mean by here? Where exactly was he talking about?
That's where things get really interesting, and that's where we'll pick up in part 2 of this deep dive.
So last we left off, Ramana Maharshi had uttered this incredibly profound statement. They say that I am dying, but I am not going away. Where could I go? I am here. I'm hooked. What does he mean by here?
It really gets to the heart of his teachings, you see. Ramana Maharshi wasn't just talking about a physical location.
Yep.
He was pointing to a state of being, an awareness that transcends, the limitations of the body.
Yeah.
Here, for him, wasn't confined to his physical form, but rather pointed to something much more expansive, something eternal.
That makes sense, especially in the context of his refusal of treatment. It wasn't about giving up. It was about accepting the natural flow of life and death. He wasn't clinging to his body, which he saw as a temporary vessel.
Exactly, and I think that's a really powerful lesson for us all. How much do we identify with our physical form? Do we see it as the entirety of who we are, or is there something more? Ramana Maharshi's life and death offer a profound perspective on this question. Death isn't an ending; it's a transition, a shedding of the old to reveal the eternal essence within.
And what fascinates me is how he seemingly embraced suffering as part of a greater cosmic dance. There's this story in the biography about a grieving woman who was like so overcome with emotion that she started beating her head against a pillar near Ramana Maharshi's room. Even in his weakened state, he remarked with a touch of humor, "Oh, I thought she was trying to break a coconut."
It's almost as if he was observing the drama of life and death, with a detached amusement, a perspective that comes from recognizing the illusory nature of suffering.
But how can suffering be an illusion if it feels so real?
Remember that statement we talked about earlier?
Yeah.
They take this body for Bhagavan and attribute suffering to him. What a pity.
Yeah.
Ramana Maharshi wasn't denying the pain.
Okay.
But he was highlighting the misidentification that leads us to believe that suffering is inherent to our true nature. It's like mistaking the clothes for the person wearing them.
Yeah.
The body might experience pain.
Okay.
But the self, the true essence, remains untouched.
And that's where the concept of jnana comes in, right? The idea that a realized being, a jnani, can experience physical pain, but their mind remains in bliss because they no longer identify with the body.
Precisely, and this isn't about denying the reality of pain or suffering, but rather recognizing that our true nature is beyond those sensations. It's a radical shift in perspective.
But how does this apply to Ramana Maharshi's own suffering? Did he experience it in the same way that we do?
That's a question that that has intrigued many. The biography offers some compelling perspectives. Some devotees were convinced that he was in excruciating pain, while others believed that he transcended it through his profound realization.
And it's interesting that Ramana Maharshi himself seemed to suggest that the perception of his suffering was a reflection of the devotee's own beliefs. He said, "I am only ill if you think I am. If you think I am well, I shall be well."
It's a fascinating interplay, between perception and reality. It suggests that our beliefs and expectations can shape our experience of the world, even when it comes to suffering.
So if we believe that someone has transcended suffering, could we, on some level, experience that reality as well? Is that the power of faith and devotion?
It's a beautiful thought, and it connects to the idea of grace.
Okay.
Remember how devotees reported feeling Ramana Maharshi's presence even after his physical death?
Yes, it's as if his compassion and love continued to flow out into the world, unbound by his physical form. And this brings us back to that powerful statement, They say that I am dying, but I am not going away. Where could I go? I am here.
It's like he was pointing to the eternal nature of the self, something that can't be extinguished by death. It challenges us to reconsider our own understanding of death. Is it truly an ending,
right? Or
is it a transformation, a return to a more expansive state of being? It's
a powerful concept, and it makes me wonder: what if the fear we associate with death stems from our attachment to the physical form, from believing that this body is all that we are?
It's a question worth pondering, and it leads us to another important inquiry. Where is here for each of us? Where do we experience that sense of timeless presence, of connection to something greater than ourselves?
That really resonates with me. Where do I find that sense of here? I think for many of us, it's in those moments of deep connection, of love, of profound peace, where the boundaries of the self seem to dissolve.
Exactly. It's in those moments that we glimpse of the reality that Ramana Maharshi embodied throughout his life, and especially in his death. A reality that transcends the limitations of the physical form and reveals the eternal nature of the self.
This is truly mind-blowing stuff, and we're not done yet. We still have so much more to explore in the final part of our deep dive.
I can't wait.
We'll delve into the reactions of those closest to Ramana Maharshi after his passing and the legacy he left behind. Stay tuned. We've been exploring this idea of, the sense of presence that Ramana Maharshi, he embodied so fully, even as he approached death. It makes me think about those who were closest to him, his devotees.
Yeah.
What was their experience like after he passed away?
Well, as you might imagine, there was, immense grief.
Yeah.
But alongside that sorrow, the biography describes this profound sense of connection to Ramana Maharshi's enduring presence. It's like they knew deep down that his promise to remain here wasn't just a comforting thought, but a lived reality.
So they didn't just feel his absence. Right. They felt his continued presence in some way.
Precisely. Many devotees reported experiencing his guidance, his love, even more intensely after his physical death. It's like the removal of his physical form somehow amplified his spiritual presence.
That's incredible. It makes you wonder if our attachment to the physical form can actually limit our perception of spiritual presence.
It's an intriguing possibility. There's this concept in many spiritual traditions that a realized being becomes even more accessible after death, freed from the limitations of the physical body. Their energy, their essence can permeate the world more fully, unconstrained by time and space.
It's like tuning into a radio station. Once you find the right frequency, the signal becomes clear, even if the physical transmitter is miles away.
That's a great analogy. And it makes me think, have you ever felt the presence of someone you've lost, maybe a loved one who has passed away?
I think most of us have had those moments where we sense the presence of someone we've loved and lost. It can be a feeling, a dream, or even just a deep knowing that that they're still with us in some way.
Yeah.
It's a very personal experience, and I think it speaks to the mysteries of consciousness and the interconnectedness of all things.
It really does.
Yeah.
And I think the outpouring of love and devotion from Ramana Maharshi's followers, it speaks volumes about the impact he had on their lives. You know, they weren't just there for his teachings.
Yeah.
They were there to experience his presence, his grace, his love.
And that brings to mind the story about the French press photographer who, at the exact moment of Ramana Maharshi's passing, witnessed a shooting star streak across the sky.
It's a moment that sends chills down my spine every time I read about it.
Yeah.
It's like the cosmos itself was acknowledging this profound transition.
So what happened after his passing? What did they do with his physical body?
Well, the devotees felt very strongly that his shrine shouldn't be seen as subordinate to the main temple. It was a subtle but important distinction, reflecting the central role of self-realization in his teachings.
Okay, so where did they finally lay him to rest?
They chose a spot near the temple, a place of deep spiritual significance. They interred his body and placed a lingam, a symbol of Shiva, over his samadhi.
It's a beautiful way to honor his legacy and mark the physical space where his presence was so deeply felt. But it's important to remember, as the biography reminds us, that the true sign of his presence isn't a physical marker, but rather the footprints in the heart, the lasting impact he had on those who knew him and those who continue to be touched by his teachings.
That's such a beautiful way to put it.
Yeah.
The true legacy lies in the transformation he inspired in others.
As we wrap up our deep dive into the final chapter of Ramana Maharshi's life, what stands out to you as the most powerful takeaway?
For me, it's the unwavering clarity of his message. Even in the face of death, his refusal of treatment, his reassurance to his devotees, his final statement, "I am here," they all point to the same truth. The self, or true nature, is beyond the limitations of the body and the illusion of suffering.
It's a message that can transform our understanding of life and death, free us from fear, and connect us to a deeper reality that's always present, always available if we just open ourselves to it.
And perhaps that's the greatest gift Ramana Maharshi left us.
Yeah.
Not just his teachings, but the living example of a life fully aligned with truth, a life that continues to inspire and guide us on our own journeys of self-discovery.
So to our listeners, we encourage you to delve deeper into the teachings of Ramana Maharshi, explore his message of self-realization, and contemplate the profound questions his life and death raise about the nature of reality, the meaning of suffering, and the enduring power of the human spirit. And
as you go about your day, we'll leave you with this thought. If Ramana Maharshi were to ask you, "Where is here for you?" How would you respond? Where do you find that sense of peace, of connection, of enduring presence, even amidst the ever-changing landscape of life?
Until next time, keep diving deep, keep questioning, and keep exploring the vast and wondrous mysteries of existence.
I hope you like this chapter. We need volunteers and sponsors to create content with even better quality and with more variety. If you wish to join this initiative as a volunteer or sponsor, please click the links given in description below. To help us reach more viewers, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Biography Central. Thank you for your time. It means a lot. Namaste.